Yo, what's going on YouTube? And welcome back to Goal Line Hockey. It's your boy Kevin Forte, and we are taking a look today in the Eastern Conference. A big, I'm putting emphasis on big matchup here in the Atlantic Division. It's going to be really disappointing to see one of these teams go out in the first round. You have the Tampa Bay Lightning, the two-time Stanley Cup champions, looking to hold their title for a three-peat. It's going to be interesting to see how that works out. For Toronto, this team cannot get bounced in the first round. There is no excuses. You could be playing Tampa here. It doesn't really matter. You have got to find a way to get past the first round. And you know what? Whether you play them in the first round or the conference finals or the Stanley Cup final, you're going to have to go against tough teams. And if Toronto wants to win a Stanley Cup, I think if they win this series, they could ultimately win the cup. I mean, imagine the amount of momentum they would have if they were to beat Tampa. How much confidence they would be oozing confidence if they beat the two-time Cup champs in the first round. But like I said, easier said than done, right? It's easier to sit here in Long Island, in New York, and sitting here saying, "Oh, Toronto just has to beat the Lightning." Well, we're gonna get into this matchup today, and guys, we're in for a good one here. I'm really excited to talk about this one today, and I want to hear what you guys think as well. So let me know. Don't be afraid to talk about it in the comments. So, in the Atlantic Division, we have the, interestingly enough here, we have the number 2 seeded Toronto Maple Leafs. So the Leafs will host the Lightning in games 1 and 2 of this series. And if it gets that far, hopefully a game 7. And Tampa, who is 3rd in the Atlantic Division this season. Looking at head-to-head, pretty even overall. Toronto's 2-2 against the Lightning, and the Lightning picked up a point in 3 of their 4 games against the Leafs, going 2-1-1. Now, both these teams have lots of scoring prowess, both top 10 in the NHL for their goal scoring. 2nd in the NHL for the Maple Leafs. A lot of that on the back of guys like Mitch Marner and, of course, Austin Matthews, who has won the Rocket Richard for most goals this season. Almost got 60 this year. This guy is a monster. So Austin Matthews, definitely the real deal here for the Leafs. And I mean, let's not forget. I'm glad I didn't have to watch it, but the Islanders playing the Tampa Bay Lightning. Stamkos just had a freaking hat trick in the final game of the regular season, so he's ready to go. Both these teams, in terms of their goals against, and I think this is going to be a real difference maker in this series. Tampa is 6th in the National Hockey League. Well, Toronto is kind of, lower in, the lower half of the league, 19th in the NHL for goals against. They do give up some goals here. Now, looking at, in terms of special teams, Toronto's in favor of both of those. They're 1st in the NHL on the power play and 7th best in the NHL on the penalty kill, while Tampa is 9th on the power play in the league and 12th on the penalty kill. So, favor there to Toronto, both special teams, power play and penalty kill. So there you go. Toronto is the real deal in terms of scoring goals. And they can score goals at will. That's really what's going to be the interesting factor here between these two teams, is who is going to control the tempo of the game. Is it going to be the back and forth goal scoring game? Or is it going to be the very defensive minded one, and Toronto's going to have to cater to playing more defensively, or are they stubborn and say, we need to score goals, right? And that hasn't necessarily worked for them. You're looking at the previous matchups. I mean, the last one, 8-1 Tampa. Yeah, that's a legit hockey score we're talking about. 8-1. And when you look at that matchup, that has to be bulletin board material for Sheldon Keefe and the Leafs. Knowing that Tampa just destroyed them, embarrassed them in the regular season finale between these two teams, that's going to be on the mind of the Leafs, and that is something that is going to be fuel for them going into this matchup. The two teams the 2 players to watch in the series. I mean, you can name off 5 guys on each team here. But Stamkos and Matthews both led their teams respectively in goals scored this season. And, this is one of those matchups where there's going to be probably a lot of goals, but I think the team that can control the tempo more will win this series. Like I said, if Toronto can dominate in terms of the offensive-minded game and making Tampa go, head-to-head, skating, out skating Tampa, Toronto could really get things going. But for Tampa's one of those teams, they can lock it down. They are good defensively. I mean, maybe not as good as they've been the last 2 years, but still very good. And I think that's something to account for. So looking at these teams, Tampa Bay, they have the cup pedigree, right? Won 2 of the past Stanley Cups. That's definitely going to be worth something, and they've been through controversy. You talk about what happened to Montreal last year, down, 3-1 in that series against the Leafs. They come all the way back. Tampa's the kind of team that can do that as well, so account for that here. They've got great stats all around. They have a ton of guys that can score. They've got a lot of it factors. It's not just one guy. They have Hedman on the back end, Stamkos and Kucherov and Point up front. They're stacked. They're stacked everywhere. Not to mention, Andrei Vasilevsky can steal them some games. I think he will do that in this series. You don't want to play against playoff Vasi. And you look up pictures of Vasilevsky. He's got those pictures where he's got his eyes wide open. He's a freak. And I'm saying that in the nicest way possible. But that's what makes him so damn good, right? So Andrei Vasilevsky, that's going to be a tough matchup there. For Toronto, and this is kind of for both teams, but Patrick Maroon versus Wayne Simmons, we need to see them drop the gloves for real this time without getting suspended for saying that, the other's not going to play in the league next year. That was ridiculous. Come on, guys. What is this, right? So anyway, we need to see that matchup, and we probably will see a head-to-head fight at some point in the series between those two. It's almost a foregone conclusion at this point. Simmons barking at him after the game saying, yeah, Maroon wouldn't drop the gloves with me. Oh, you know damn well Maroon's going to do that. He's going to get that going. And Simmons, man, he's had a pretty good season. He's roughed up a couple guys. He went into Philly, roughed up a couple of the Flyers, the big boys in Philly, his former team. He had he kind of had a tilt here with Maroon. They're going to do a real legit fight here in the playoffs. And now that they're playing each other, it's just all the better. Campbell needs to be good. And here's the other thing. Campbell needs to be, in between the pipes. He's one of those goalies that's had some issues staying healthy. So, I look at his sort of spot right now. I mean, let's look here. So they have him as not injured, so that's huge. I mean, him being healthy is going to be incredibly important. Mrazek's out. Who cares? It's Campbell's net anyway. So yeah, he's played 49 games this season, .914 save percentage. Shalgren's been decent, but it's got to be Campbell. I mean, Campbell has to play game 1 if they're going to make the playoff. If they're going to do anything this series. And even with Campbell, I still think they could have problems against Vasilevsky. Like, he is just so good. That's why Tampa's been where they've been. Like, he can steal in any given series. He could steal 2 games by himself. And that is, and that's not even counting guys like Kucherov and Stamkos, just potting in a hat trick. Like, Tampa's one of those teams. It's going to be a really tough matchup here for the Leafs. And again, you can make excuses. They won the last 2 Stanley Cups, and this is the team to beat across the league, and this and that. There's no excuses. Like, Kyle Dubas, Brendan Shanahan, the Shana plan, whatever you want to call it, it has to come to fruition this season. And I don't even know if, the Leafs, it's such a lose almost, because it's like, even if they get past the first round and they get swept in the second round, everybody forgets that they beat Tampa in the first round. Like, it's like you almost have to think so far ahead at this point. Like, you can't even just win a round. You can't even just go to the conference final. Like, it's almost like it's cup or bust in Toronto. And it's like, I don't even know. It's a really tough spot here for the Leafs. I don't envy Kyle Dubas, Sheldon Keefe. I don't envy any of them right now, because this is a really, really tough situation for them in round 1. But this is the Stanley Cup playoffs we're talking about. There's no easy series, right? If you make the playoffs now, when there's 32 teams, 16 teams get in, half the league gets in, the better half of the league will get in. And that's kind of what you're looking at here. Again, it's not going to be an easy spot. Now, here's the good news. a team that's wearing blue and white will win this series. So there you go. You got your hint who's going to win this series. Okay, well, the problem is both teams are wearing blue and white in this series. So at least I think so, right? The Leafs aren't wearing their, what's the Justin Bieber jerseys, right? Imagine they lifted the Stanley Cup in that Bieber jersey. Oh, God. The league needs to change if that happens. So anyway, Lightning, 2-time Stanley Cup champions. They've got everything going. They've got Vasi, Stamkos, Kuch, Point. Everything's going on fire for them. The Lightning, the Leafs, all the pressure in the world. Probably the most pressure in the league, if I'm going to be honest. They don't get past the first round. I literally think the city of Toronto will self-destruct. Like, I truly believe that. Campbell's healthy versus Vasi. I got to give the edge to Vasi. Campbell's been good. Vasi's been better. And especially when we know the pedigree with his playoff history, he turns it up in the playoffs ever since that run in 2019 where they lost to Columbus. He's been way too good. And Tampa's, in terms of they lose a game and they come back and win after that, like, they are incredible. They don't lose back-to-back games in the playoffs. They have not done that in 3 years now. Both teams are good. Toronto's, I'd love to see the money line, the line on these in this matchup. Who is the favorite? You'd have to think, like, I don't even know. You'd have to think Toronto has this run with Matthews and everything that's going on. But it's the frickin' Tampa Bay Lightning. And they've been really good here over the past month. Give me Tampa. I'm going Tampa Bay, winning this series in Scotiabank Arena in 7 games in Toronto. I think they're going to send the Leaf fans home upset and crying once again. Guys, listen, I call me biased, call me whatever. Guys, I don't like the Lightning. They've ruined my Islanders' dreams the past 2 seasons in the Eastern Conference Finals. You know I'm not going against this juggernaut, especially come playoff time. I'm going with the Lightning winning this in 7. I think the Lightning are just way too good. There aren't many teams that I think could beat Toronto in the first round in a Game 7. But you give me the Leafs and the Lightning. I'm going with the Lightning winning this series. Guys, let me know what you think. The comment section down below as we round third here on these playoff predictions here for the first round. Who do you think takes home the big win? Will it be Tampa or Toronto? Let me know what you guys think. Guys, as always, thank you so much for watching, and let's go Bolts.